That you should have heard us just discussing this, and we're about to. Kyle Shanahan explaining his decision to take the ball, to receive the ball in overtime. Some argue that this was not the right way to go and change the momentum of the game. The 49ers were unable to score a touchdown on that first drive. Field goal, the ensuing possession. Chiefs win it on a touchdown. 49ers never got the ball back.
Yeah, it's hard to defend when it goes this way. Here's what Kyle was thinking, and I've done a lot of looks at like the analytics of this because it seemed it was such an egregious decision in the moment. Let me set the scene from a personal standpoint. I haven't been to a Super Bowl party in 20 years. We're not in Vegas. I was at a Super Bowl party, and we're at my friend Drew Katz's house, and we're there, and we're at the couch, and you've got all these people who are just diehard football fans and know the rules inside and out. And we were all just crippled by the overtime rules and the decision of, like, what do you do if you win the toss? So one of our friends right there is saying, well, you defer naturally because you want to be able to match it. Let them do whatever they got to do, then you can match it. And then Wes is over there in the corner, and he's saying, no. Your defense was just on the field for 7 minutes. They're absolutely gassed. You definitely receive, and you get your offense on it. And Artie's over here in the corner, and he's saying, yeah, but wait, what happens if they both match, and then who gets the... There is no right or wrong on this one. Now, the analytics folks would say exactly what Kyle said. You assume that if you match, score, and you're assuming you're going to get a touchdown because you trust your offense that much on that reception, on the receiving. If you both score, you then get the ball first in sudden death. So picture baseball, and you say, okay, well, you have the top of the first and you have the bottom of the first. But if top of the second is sudden death, we want top of the second. That's what Kyle was thinking. It backfired. It doesn't work because they don't score the touchdown. They had a good drive. They got a field goal. But now he's going to take the heat because guess what? For a third straight big Super Bowl, they had a 10-point lead, and they end up losing in the game.
If ifs were fists, we'd all be drunk.
Here we go.
Okay, and it's the absolute truth in all this. And this is the college football model. It really is. And I spent most of my time analyzing football over the last 10 years. It's been around the college football game. And you always want the ball second to start. You want to know what you have to do. You want to know if you have to go forward on fourth down immediately. Guess what? Kansas City knew they had to go forward on fourth down on their own 30 to in the overtime period. I just don't understand it. And when I saw Warner just immediately take it, I thought maybe it was just a natural reflex, whether they actually had a conversation about it. Clearly they did. But I do not trust anybody else in the entire world like I trust Patrick Mahomes in that moment. If you tell me, and it should have been, I shouldn't say it should have been, there was a great call. The officials stayed out of the game, but they made a great call on that third down in the overtime. But if they don't make that call, it's a 3 and out, and all of a sudden Mahomes is just, are you telling me, Bucker, we got to get to the 45-yard line and it's a wrap?
See you later.
For me, it was a questionable decision, and it's going to be one that's going to looked at from hindsight because of the loss. But I always want the ball second. I want to know. The things that you fear the most are the things you don't know. And if you don't know what you have to do in that moment, how are you going to call? And I think he was hesitant in how he called some plays, especially down in the red zone in that overtime. That cost him settling for a field goal. And after they kicked the field goal, I looked at my wife and I said, it's game's over. It's over. You're not going to be. Every instant of when it was close, fourth down, 3rd and 1, there was no hesitation in what was going to happen in my eyes. And then the great play, and it was exactly what they did against the Eagles last year. They ran that motion, they got the guy with the leverage, and then Patrick Mahomes did his thing. And it was perfection on how to operate in the new overtime rules of the NFL.
I think the real shock here is that Peter went to a Super Bowl party. What are you doing? You're going to a social setting during the game? Why?
Hardcore fans. If you're not going to have, I needed to have all the different voices. It was amazing. I was locked in.
And you were at Dr. Katz's house?
Not Dr. My friend Drew.
I thought you said Dr. Katz. That would have been amazing.
It's a great show.
Listen.
We love Dr. Katz.
I love Dr. Katz. I was jealous for a second. I'm kind of with you. You know, here's the thing. You go in, and Mahomes gets the ball first. This is what plays out. And Mahomes, let's say he scores the same touchdown, the same McCole Hardman and everything. Okay, I got it now. Now it's like, no matter what, I have 4 downs. No matter what. So maybe I'm more likely to give it to run the ball, to give it to McCaffrey on 1st or 2nd down. I only gain 2 yards. Who cares? So, like, play the same thing out that on the 3rd down, Chris Jones gets the rush, and he misses Juwan Jennings. Okay, dial up the 4th down play. Listen, I respect Shanahan. There's a lot of really smart, brilliant football people who put a lot of thought into this. That was their conclusion. On Monday morning, Kyle Brandt says they should have gone on Eva Gibson's jam. My point is, though, is that, like, you know, a lot of people are offering up this. They're trying to help him and say, well, even Peter did it.
Yeah.
His defense was gassed. He said it had nothing to do with that. Like, it had nothing to do with the defense. It could have been a 20-play drive. We're still doing it. The problem is that this is not just an isolated thing with Shanahan. There's a bigger conversation. There's about decisions late in games, and we're going back to Matt Ryan getting sacked, and we're going back to the Jimmy Garoppolo missing Emmanuel Sanders. It's a much bigger thing, and there's a lot of scar tissue. Look, if I'm looking at him and I'm a play caller and I know for a fact that I'm going to go for it and I'm going to have 4 downs, seems to be in me much more comfortable. And, you know, it's Peter, it's so assumption-based. Well, they're going to score, and then we're going to score, and then we're going to overtime. Well, you guys didn't score a touchdown,
You also
poof.
You also didn't score much of the game. It wasn't like this high-scoring game.
I know. So, look, it's a very Monday morning take, but I feel zero guilt in saying it. I don't know. Let them see what you're going to do, and then you're going to see what's on your menu. He's going to have to answer questions about that for a long time because you're right. Warner goes, tails, ball. This
right
was
away.
all predetermined. This was not, let's talk it over. There was no, let's feel the game. And maybe there should have been. It sounds like they based the whole game on a decision they made a week ago rather than what happened in the last hour. And I never really liked that.
It's interesting because, you know, I think what you were alluding to, Jamie, in the opening of the show is that, you know, Mahomes said almost like, they changed the rule because of us, and then we were able to master the rule because Andy Reid in January has been hammering, here are the new overtime rules in postseason. They changed. And as much as Hardman might not have known, he's a receiver. Just catch the ball. It'll all work out. Mahomes, Reid, Mahomes gets to that coin toss. I wonder what the Chiefs would have done. I have no doubt the Chiefs don't regret how that thing went down.
I was enthralled with the second coin toss that we got to see. I loved the body language of the two of them walking up there, and Fred Warner and Patrick Mahomes. They looked so comfortable and confident within themselves. They looked like they were friends for just a beat when they just had the cool fist pump at the end, and the conversation went down. The officials explained it. They got like a B+, A-. There was a bit of a stumble there. We were like, okay, we're all good. We're settled. We were going that way. And then when you really, about 10 seconds pass after they walk away from the huddle, and you're like, wait, what did they just decide to do? It was like a delayed reaction for me. Analytics is knowledge. You're trying to compile knowledge. And at this point, this new overtime rule, you don't have enough knowledge yet. There's no data. So you're walking into a blind scenario. And for me, for Shanahan in particular, this could have been such a clean slate for him for a lot of reasons in terms of coming from behind or not allowing a lead to be blown. Yet he walks into this fresh new, he could have become the king of the new overtime rules in the postseason, yet here we are again with him. I cannot believe, to your point, that he assumed that this is what you were going to take care of business in that way against the Chiefs. You can't assume anything if you're going to do something against the Chiefs. It's just not going to transpire well. Chris Jones played out of his mind in the red zone defensively. It was a great effort on that perspective, but Peter, I'm trying to see it, and I just can't believe that he assumed that the touchdown was...
I'm not caping for him. I'm really not. I don't think, 9 out of 10 people would say they made the right decision. Of course, how it worked out. There is an argument, by the analytics, and certainly I think Kyle Shanahan thought it through. But to your point, he might have made that decision on Tuesday or Wednesday, not with the flow of the game.
This decision was made...
That's the way he talked about it.
Would you guys have come down as harshly on him if it went touchdown, Chiefs, 49ers, Chiefs, or 49ers get the ball back and they lost? Would you have come down as harshly on Shanahan, for deferring and getting that ball back? Essentially, if he had made the right decision the first time around?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Still lost.
I would have said that you chalk that up to just, that's the way it goes at that point. But I mean, you have actual control of something that's really uncontrollable in a game that you don't have hardly any control over. You're watching it play out, and this decision was made just like any of them when. My brothers were there and they were asking, hey, what all the crazy player props that exist for the Super Bowl, right? Who wins the coin toss and everything? I said, I don't care, or Kyle Shanahan doesn't care if he wins the coin toss or not. If he does win it, he's deferring. It doesn't matter if he wants to take the offense out and get a lead early on against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what he does. It's almost like on brand. And in this instance, he had a conversation with whoever he had a conversation with, and this was going to be the choice if it got to overtime, what I was going to do if we won the toss. We were going to take the ball, and we were going to go down the field, and we were going to dictate what the other team had to do. And unfortunately, they did it partially. They ended up settling for a field goal.
That's so close, though. That's so close.
My mind went to media. I don't know if you saw this. Sean McManus, the chairman of CBS, ran he made a joke in the media that in getting the game, the NFL has promised us a double overtime game, like a scripting joke.
Never been.
Can you imagine if that game had gone to double overtime, what the tweets would have been? And it was close.
Well, and that's a question that needs to be asked. Like a lot of people were asking that question. Why do they even have a clock?
It's a great question because that's where I really was crippled by this thing. Because if that's an incomplete to Hardman, they just go to another overtime period. I
Right.
couldn't get an answer on
Do
it
they
in the
do they
middle of
flip
it.
do
I
they
was
do they
wondering if they
flip the
flip the
sides like
field.
that's
Right,
that's
but
the
it's
only
not,
thing
it's
that
not
would
a new coin toss.
No.
They just kept playing because the Chiefs were still on their first possession.
Yeah.
And they get to finish that first
Because
possession.
Romo was screaming as the clock's ticking down. He's like, "Don't worry about the
He's
clock,
right.
Jim." And he was right. The clock, because it was like.
But
6
it's so
seconds before he
distracting.
goes.
You
It
see
is
a,
distracting.
You see a clock ticking
Yeah,
down.
because what's the
exciting.
point of having it
It's technically
tick
a
down?
first quarter.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as both
and the
teams get the
official
ball.
the official made a good point to saying, hey, we're going to start a new game essentially.
Yep.
It's a new game.
The first quarter thing that Romo said was a little confusing if you were new to the game or just new to this overtime concept, because if someone scores at the end of a first quarter, there's still more game to be played. Yet someone scored at the end of that proverbial first quarter and the game ended. It was like that. That's a weird way to explain it as well. We gotta tighten this up from like a explanation perspective.
Only the second time, right? Only the second time it was an overtime?
Yeah.
Patriots, Falcons.
Right, but first in the new set of rules.
Right.
I think that's what was.
So the two overtime games you had the Patriots where the Falcons didn't even possess the football, and they lose. And in this instant, both teams possess the football, and the other team doesn't get a chance to return if it gets a touchdown. It's just.
And Ryan,
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan was part of both of them.
Yes.
We'll get into
Yes.